My dear friends, before we dive into the news, I like to start with a fun fact. As The Mandalorian and its spin-offs continue to explore the New Republic era, we're probably going to see a lot of characters adapted from the books and comics onto screen. A canon member of the New Republic created under Disney is Nim Tar, a senator who rarely gets spoken about. Now why is he interesting? Because he's a Quermian, the same species as the Jedi we saw in The Phantom Menace, Yarael Poof. We really don't see Quermians too much, but this character who was friends with Han Solo and Mon Mothma is someone I would love to see in live action, just because the New Republic diversity of aliens was pretty expansive, both in legends and in canon books, like in the Aftermath trilogy. So yes, there were other Quermians around in the galaxy at this time, and unlike Master Poof, Nim Tar was not sliced down by a Sith Lord. So now, quite a bit of Ahsoka news, and we begin with yet another picture from Empire magazine, an exclusive look at this Inquisitor. They ask the question, how are there still Inquisitors at this point? Are they connected to Baylan and Shin? Is this person working for Thrawn? What is their role? This frame is taken from the planet where Ahsoka says heir to the Empire in the trailer, and while some fans theorize it could be the 8th brother, he died on Malachor in Star Wars Rebels. Unless they retcon this, you never know. The 8th brother had 4 fingers, so unless Dave Filoni decides to make some changes, this could be him, in spite of his death and those differences. It's an awesome picture. I really can't wait for the lightsaber action in this show. And staying on the subject of Ahsoka, this development is very good news for fans of the Clone Wars, for fans of Star Wars Rebels, and it's something we suspected but Katee Sackhoff denied, but it's now been confirmed by the actress herself. She was on set for the Ahsoka show. So the question is Bo-Katan going to be in Star Wars Ahsoka this coming August? I think there's a very strong possibility. She's denying she's in it, but she could be playing coy. It could technically have just been a set visit, but I suspect Bo-Katan is in the show. She and Ahsoka go all the way back to the Clone Wars, and in The Mandalorian Season 2, Bo-Katan knew where Ahsoka was on Corvus. They clearly stayed in touch all these years, and now with Mandalore reunited, she could make a very interesting ally for Ahsoka when the time comes for the final battle against Thrawn. But in all fairness, that showdown is probably going to be saved for the Mandalorian film by Dave Filoni. Of course, given Sackhoff's enormous role in the Mandoverse, returning to play Bo-Katan and Ahsoka is a very reasonable assumption, and you would think filming on this was done during Mando Season 3. I would go as far as saying it's weird if Bo-Katan doesn't show up, and to be fair, Bryce Dallas Howard said back in 2022 that Ahsoka would be a real treat for Clone Wars fans, and with the rumour that Captain Rex and other characters from the Clone Wars are going to appear in Ahsoka, Bo-Katan seems like an obvious one. The two characters, Ahsoka and Bo, were originally enemies in the Clone Wars, but after Maul took over Mandalore, Bo-Katan recruited Ahsoka to help us save the planet. The two remained strong allies for years, and while they never crossed paths in Rebels, it's canon the two remained in contact, even by the time Ahsoka's searching for Thrawn. And as I say, Bo knows that Ahsoka went to Caladan to track down details of the Grand Admiral's whereabouts from Morgan Elsbeth. And Bo-Katan, who is ruler of Mandalore, has strong allies such as Axe Woves, Cosca Reeves, the Armourer. They would be a perfect group to team up with Ahsoka, and given that the Warlords destroyed Mandalore in the first place, and then bombed her palace on Kalevala, Bo-Katan has added reason and incentive to take down Thrawn. And another awesome reunion would be Sabine with Bo. Sabine believed in Bo so much, she handed her the Darksaber in the first place before she then lost it. Now despite the Darksaber being destroyed by Moff Gideon, I think Sabine would be so proud of Bo. Now staying on the subject of Bo-Katan news, Katee Sackhoff confirms that Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were gonna have a kiss in The Mandalorian Season 3. There's an outtake where Din and Bo-Katan kiss. That was meant to happen near the pledge scene, and later it was removed. I think for the best. I know there are fans who ship Din and Bo, they often call it Dinbo, but personally, I just don't see a reason for these two to be romantically involved. It doesn't serve the story. And so now, my dear friends, we move on to talk about The Acolyte, a show which has proven to be quite divisive even before its release. Some fans are saying this is going to be the worst Star Wars thing ever, others are saying it's going to be one of the best, and I'm here thinking, this show could do something really interesting in terms of the High Republic Jedi, give us a new perspective on Force users before The Phantom Menace, so let's wait and see. Well, it turns out that Jodie Turner-Smith, who stars in the show, has revealed some new character details, as well as unveiling her favourite director on the show. Here's what they say. The series, headed by Leslie Headland, is one of many in the slate of upcoming Star Wars shows, but this one seems very different to the others in terms of vibe. They say for one thing, this show is going to take itself more seriously than any other Star Wars project so far. There are going to be some dark tones, the mystery aspect, martial arts, struggles between light and dark, and it's getting a pretty exciting director according to one of the actors. And one tidbit was really interesting. She says, quote, "Obviously the subject matter is different. It's different when everything you're doing is lighthearted, but that's not what I was doing for Star Wars. I was working with my favourite director I've worked with so far, Kogonada from South Korea. And of course, under the leadership of Leslie Headland, it's incredible to see. I can't wait to see how this show turns out," she says. Kogonada, best known for his 2017 film Columbus, is going to be a welcome addition to the stellar list of Star Wars directors on this show. Turner Smith also worked with him in 2021's After Yang, which he also directed. The actress also teased a rather wide-reaching story, where her character's journey may be off in a separate setting compared to the other characters. It sounds as though she doesn't interact with Amanda Stenberg's titular character. Jodie says, "I unfortunately didn't have any scenes with her, but I got to see what they were doing. It's gonna be epic, and it's nothing that anyone has seen inside of that universe before, so it's gonna be something fresh. They're really revamping what it means to be a Jedi, their beliefs, what led them to their downfall, and how these Jedi in the golden era of the Republic don't see the rise of the Sith behind their backs, right under their noses. This could be risky, but sometimes evolution and change in Star Wars storytelling can be a welcome addition if they do it right. This is something a lot of fans are nervous about." But when it comes to The Acolyte and what this show is going to do, I do think there is some hesitancy in the fandom, and that's understandable. The pre-release criticism comes from some of the things that Leslie has said about the Jedi. This iteration of The Galaxy Far Far Away, this Disney Plus show, is going to be hypercritical of them, inspired by Last Jedi Luke. Her words, "This is something that I can imagine put a lot of fans off." Turner Smith also confirms a big detail about the character she's going to play. She does not have a lightsaber, but it's important to state she does not want to confirm if she's a Force sensitive, which means she might be, just not one who uses a lightsaber. She also compliments the practical effects, some of the creatures, the world building, and from what she's seen, I think this might be a sleeper series, something which goes under the radar, but when it drops, it gives us something we didn't expect in the best possible way. I think that's what I'm really hoping for with this show. And you know, aside from the Jedi stuff and the Sith and the Force, when Star Wars gets weird and wonderful with aliens and creatures and new planets, new concepts, things that make us go, "Oh okay, didn't expect that, but I'm fine with it. Actually, I'm really starting to love that." That's what I think this series should do. That's what they should aim for. They're staying true to some of the High Republic books. Some of those characters are going from the page to the screen, and I also hope some Jedi from the prequels who are alive at this time will also feature too. We're a long way before the Phantom Menace, but characters like Yoda, Yaddle, Yarael Poof, Operan Sissis, they're still around. And so just to finish, a question to you guys. Does Star Wars need more Luke? Is it time for Star Wars to move on? Now, I've seen suggestions over the last few years that Lucasfilm could do a post-Return of the Jedi animated show that explores Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, all of the characters we love from the original trilogy, without butchering them in live-action form, using deepfakes and de-aging, that kind of thing. Should Lucasfilm continue doing stuff with Luke? Mark Hamill recently said no. I would say it's fine if he makes sporadic appearances here and there, as long as they don't overuse him. And this is a decision I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have to really think about, especially with the 2026 Mando film, because if, as the rumour states, they're going down the Heir to the Empire route, they have to make a very clear decision. Do they want to adapt the Luke stuff, kind of like a one-to-one adaptation with also Mandoverse characters, or do they want to replace those characters with Din Djarin, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and go a new route, not sort of step on the toes of that classic book? Because even if you decide to sprinkle in some Luke Skywalker here and there, it almost dilutes his importance and his role, something which Star Wars fans have said about the comics. They're exploring the time period between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. This is across many different comic lines, whether it's the Kira stuff, Dr. Aphra, we've had some more Luke stories, and many fans have pointed out, it just doesn't feel like Luke, almost as if Disney Star Wars cannot do the character justice. So is it best they leave him out? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.